And welcome back to the Market Wolf. I am the Market Wolf. If you're new here, if you like the content that you see, please consider subscribing, sharing, and make sure you like that video because it really helps with the YouTube analytics and it helps me keep going here, gives me motivation to keep doing what I'm doing. So, I want to first point out that this episode 10, we go back. This is the first time my opinion has been wrong. And I knew that the percentage of my possibility of being right based on the technical analysis itself was unlikely to highly unlikely. And I want to point out a comment that Jason made. We had a conversation back in the comments. Again, I'd invite all of you to comment and so we can have this discussion. And Jason said, thanks for the shout out. I believe there may be a retail bump in SPY tomorrow. The next resistance will be most likely psychological. When you look at the call put volume options on SPY and UVXY, that looks bearish. It's going to be choppy. SPY will probably drop after a pop. I don't think smart money is convinced at all. And I said, I think you're spot on, Jason. And I will let you know why after market close tomorrow. There is something I'm going to be watching for tomorrow. So what was I watching for? And it clearly didn't happen because my opinion was that the bull case would continue to play out, even though we clearly saw, and this is Technical Analysis 101. I pointed it out from the very beginning. Remember, the beginning of this week, I said, or last Friday, I said this week would be bearish. Remember, we started out slightly bearish until we got that bullish engulfing candle. And now that has faded away and it's almost nothing. But we are still green on the week so far. We've got one more day to go though, so bulls, don't get too excited yet. Now, I was specifically looking for a rise up in price very slowly, just like we got back over here. Let me go to the 30. If you remember, if you recall, before I started making videos, but if you've been following me on Webull prior to this, I kept pointing out how there's no way that we should have continued up. There was no way at all that we should have continued up on that rise that we went up on. So, right here, as we worked our way up, this was on fluff, and I pointed it out over and over again, and there were at least 6 candlesticks, if not more, at the end of, close to the end of the day, end of market, where suddenly just volume would spike in, and we'd go up another level, and we'd find support, we'd back test a little bit, and then we'd inevitably go up again. And we kept this pattern up repeatedly despite the volume profile being awful. Now, I've heard guys that have been in this business for 20 years say they've only seen that one other time in the 20 years they've been doing this. Now, I don't like to talk about market manipulation because I think the term is overused. When people make bad calls, they simply say, oh, market manipulation. If they make a bad trade, market manipulation. If an ETF isn't moving the way they think it should, market manipulation. No. Typically, it's that your technical analysis was wrong. I know technical analysis. I know Technical Analysis 101. I knew when I was taking the bull case, I knew why I was taking it, and I didn't talk about it. That's why I told Jason I would tell him tomorrow. And I was going to tell him either way. I was going to tell all of you either way. But I didn't want to mention it because I didn't want to influence anybody over any market maker nonsense. Because Technical Analysis 101 says, hey, you've got increasing price on decreasing volume like we did all the way up on this move. There's something wrong there. And sure enough, we collapsed, right? Now we got a little bear flag right here. Not looking too good. So, I did say on Webull, if you were paying attention, that we would stop right here, and we did. I was giving you the play-by-play calls about if we would hold these other support levels and what to expect when they were breaking. So if you were there, thanks for paying attention, and thanks for being a subscriber here. Now, we've got a bigger narrative that we need to talk about today. You can see that on the 30-minute, we're way underbought. We're just underbought. We've got to get at least a little move to the upside, but I think this is probably putting on a bear flag. Let's take a look just a moment here at what Fed Chief Powell said today, which I was also honestly surprised about. I said in the comments on Webull I thought he was going to try and temper things like he typically does. Not this time. Not this time. Quote, "It is appropriate in my view to be moving a little more quickly," Powell said during a discussion hosted by the International Monetary Fund in Washington. "I also think there's something in the idea of front-end loading, which is something they really did not want to speak about prior. They made it sound like, we're not going to do that." Okay? So, another point that he made, inflation may have peaked in March, but we don't know, he said. The Fed is not counting on it, he added. So, essentially, he's just told you that they are going to front load, which they said they were probably not going to do. And he's also said that this probably is not the end of inflation, which obviously we knew already. But the market will react to this. Now, yes, the market was anticipating some rate hikes, but this kind of talk, I'm not sure the market was anticipating this. Please leave comments in the comments section. Let's talk about it. Let me know what you think. It's important that we sort these things out. I am not always right, as you can see. And I need to remember that the market manipulation only happens every once in a while. So I need to stick to the pure technical analysis. We look here at the 30. We see that we've got a bearish divergence under play. We've got a bear flag pulling up here. And, we might have a little run up and get rejected. We may flag through this area for a while. And I'll show you why. But I do think that we could go lower. We could break some key support levels here. Let's go to the 2-hour. And if we take a look at the 2-hour, we can see that the bearish divergence has started on the 2-hour. Our other EMA lines are a little tangled, but I believe that we're going to start probably moving those in a more bearish direction. Let's take a look at the 4-hour. 4-hour, we see that, we still were, remember, we were on bearish, and then we had these fake outs. We've had two bullish fake outs recently, and so the EMA lines are still kind of twisted up on the 4-hour, and this was the biggest of all bull fake outs. And remember yesterday I said it could be a giant bull trap, and that was your warning that it probably was a giant bull trap. I made it very clear that we could go down the rabbit hole very quickly with such garbage volume, and we did. So, let's take a look at the daily. And on the daily, in place of what was a bullish engulfing candle, now on the daily we have a bearish engulfing candle combined with a bearish divergence on the daily. Remember, I said we were bearish at the beginning of the week. I want to pull out, you know what, this will probably be sufficient. We'll stay on the daily. I want to show you a couple of ideas here that I'm noticing that are going to be important. Number one, we seem to be worried. If you look at these two purple support and resistance lines, we seem to possibly be making our way into an upward channel. Unless we really break through this hard, which is a very strong possibility. We could. But right now, that's just something I'm watching. That would be more of a bullish case. You know, maybe we ride that and we then pop back up. That's a possibility. That's more of a bullish case. I think we do have a lot of heavy lines of resistance here. We could easily fall. Remember these two ascending lines right here that are green. This is basically our final point right here. Remember back in 2020, this is that lowest point. This is that channel carried out, okay, from 2020. This is the lowest we really want to go. We've broken through there a couple times. Could we fall back into that channel again? I think it's possible. Could we fall back into this old channel that we left? If price action moves fast enough, I'm not sure. We'll go back to the 30 and take a look at that, because really when you're looking here at the daily, we already have. And then, you know, it's just like, okay, we got a lot of bearish stuff going on here. We're back inside that channel again, potentially. I kind of think we drop more. I really do. I think we have a brief rise up and then we drop more and we kind of get sucked down the rabbit hole even more into this channel. The question is do we stop here or do we continue down? Because if we continue down and we break through this old channel, that would be a significant event. It really would be. So that's going to be something to pay attention to. Also, what I noticed here, and this is important, we do have this upper resistance trend right here, and we do have this playing out as well. It could be that this, let's change the color here so it's a little bit easier to understand and maybe think about. Could we have a symmetrical triangle here that we didn't see before? Is that possible? We're inside one and then we're going to break up or break down. I suspect with the bearish case, if we rode up slightly bullish here, that we would eventually break down. I'm not seeing much of anything right now that's bullish other than we are oversold. We are oversold. And you know when we're oversold or we're overbought, both of those things can heat up. One of those things can heat up, one of those things can cool down, and it can do that repeatedly while flagging. So that's something to pay attention to. Even if you trade UVXY and you're very pleased with the moves today, you have to remember if we start flagging, that's not good. Even if we're down, UVXY can still go down. You need the momentum, you need the velocity, you really need the VIX to kick in. We can see we've got increasing exiting volume. That's not good. We've got a little bit more momentum here, perhaps on the daily. We're not sure yet. We'll have to see. Let's take a trip back to the 30. Then we'll check out the VIX and we will check out UVXY. So those are a couple of scenarios there on the larger time frames to think about. But right now, we're on this bear flag. We got a bearish divergence. We've got increasing exiting volume. We started to have decreasing because, of course, we were way oversold. So we're going to have some kind of a rise up here, I believe. And then it's just a matter of getting rejected. Again, do we flag? Where do we go from here? There's many support lines. Remember, on the daily, we've broken back down into this channel. This red descending line is that old channel we were in. On the daily, it shows we're already there. We've got this bear flag here. If we break back through there, I think you can expect some more precipitous movement to the downward side here. Where we'll have to see. But this whole area right here is major support, and bulls are really going to want to see us, if we can, ride here and make our way back up, or make our way back up here and get support and ride that. The best case for the bulls right now is just that we are underbought. Oversold. We're way oversold. So that's what I'm seeing there. That's what I'm anticipating for tomorrow. What's my opinion? Tomorrow, I'm with the bears. I think we have a little bounce. I think I made that clear. That's kind of my opinion. Okay, so let's go to the VIX. and see how our long-term thesis is holding up. Remember, our long-term thesis on the VIX is that we want to see, let's bring it out to the 4-hour. We want to see the VIX hold this symmetrical triangle. We want to see the VIX hold this symmetrical triangle. And so far, it is holding. So far, it is holding. We're coiling up tighter here. Volatility, I think, could possibly really take off. We might get above that 24 coming up here real soon. It's a possibility. Something to watch. Let's take a look at UVXY. So you can be ready for that scenario tomorrow. Remember those key areas on SPY that I let you know. If those break, that's something to be watching on UVXY. And then what you're going to be watching for are areas where it's really starting to slow down. You're starting to see some heavy wicking on SPY to the downside. That's going to let you know there's some resistance where buyers are coming back in. And you might want to start thinking about selling UVXY. So I went ahead and put this up here again, and I'll adjust it again because, wow, I mean, can you really call that an uptrend at this point? Barely, maybe. Barely. Right now, I think really UVXY is for the most part just kind of breaking even. And remember, tomorrow, even if we're low, if we flag for a while on SPY before we drop, that means UVXY can continue to the downside off that flagging, off that sideways motion. So be prepared for that. Be aware of that. Know that we don't have to continue. We don't have to continue dropping. Okay, on the S&P 500. If we do drop more and we get down to some of those other levels, I would anticipate seeing maybe 1454 again, possibly even 1480, somewhere in there. It's a possibility if we continue to really drop down the rabbit hole tomorrow. So that's something to pay attention to. Yeah, that's about it here on the Market Wolf. Heck of a time. Well, I've called it essentially, almost 90% correct. We'll have to see what tomorrow brings and if this episode plays out. But really the first time I was wrong, but I really wanted to side with the bears yesterday. But I just thought the market manipulation, I really thought to myself, the Federal Reserve would like to see this push up higher. Even though Powell is speaking, he'll be dovish, and they'd like to see it go a little higher. I have a bigger thesis with that I'll share with you next time. And we'll get back to that. It plays into some of those channels that I was showing you that I believe are a bullish case. But we have to see if what plays out right now. That's more of a long-term thought process. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Let me know if I've helped you. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate all of the people that come here regularly. Thank you so much. Please consider sharing this video. Definitely hit the like button. That will keep me going here. And that's all on the Market Wolf. We'll see you next time.